Hello, this is Allegedly Nerdy, and today I'm going to be talking a bit about Imperial Guard tactics. Since 8th edition dropped, there's been a lot of talk about the conscripts. The conscripts have been the real star of the show. Tanks and stuff have sort of fallen out of favor. Veterans especially are very rarely utilized from what I've seen in lists and at tournaments. But I believe that this is a mistake. I believe that from a bit of experimentation, veterans can still be a very, very powerful tool. I don't think you could ever get away with a full veteran army anymore. But I think that you could make some very powerful stuff with veterans. This is sort of inspired by a video from Morty and Glory, who does a lot of Imperial Guard tactics videos. But basically, this is just sort of expanding on his idea and looking at not really a pure veteran army, but probably the best use of veterans from my experience in 8th edition, in the current meta at least. So I'm going to pull up this example list that I have real quick, but I'm basically just going to talk about the problem with veterans at this point. And simply put, right now they're an elite choice, so you can't take as many of them except with the Vanguard detachment. They don't work as strongly, but because, you know, they're more expensive, but they're not that much tougher. They're a lot more expensive and are the same toughness as conscripts, and there's less of them. But since they can take so many special weapons with them and heavy weapons, it's really powerful. Now then, there's two. So with your veterans, what you need to happen is you need to be able to get them into position quickly. That means Tauruxes or Chimeras. Personally, I'd be inclined for Chimeras because they could actually do stuff after delivering them while delivering the veterans, while I feel that the Tauruxes are a bit too flimsy. But what we're looking at doing is basically it's going to be more of sort of a mechanized list. There's still going to be conscripts in it just to form sort of a backbone. But what you'd be looking at as far as the veterans is 2 squads of veterans are going to have a sergeant, 3 veterans with las guns, Voxcaster, 3 veterans with plasma guns, and a heavy weapons team with las cannon. You're going to have 2 of those. They're going to be inside of Chimeras. They're just heavy bolter and heavy bolter. That's it. What you're going to do with 2 other squads of veterans is you're going to have a veteran sergeant who's going to have a plasma pistol and a power fist. You're going to have 5 veterans with shotguns. You're going to have a veteran with a heavy flamer, and 3 veterans with melter guns. 2 squads of those. They're going to be in Chimeras with heavy flamer, heavy stubber. And so the tactic with them basically is you take during deployment, you're going to deploy the veteran squads with the las cannon teams in the heavy bolter Chimeras last. You want those to be. You don't want your opponent to know where those are going to be until everything else is placed. You're going to want those to probably go up the sides away from where most of the enemy is, and then just deploy them into ruins where they get cover. and then probably you're going to use essentially the Chimera from that point on as two heavy bolter weapons teams. In essence, you're probably also going to want to keep them within distance of a command squad with a Voxcaster and your company commander. So you're probably going to want to do. So you want to try to keep them within 18 inches of wherever your company commander is, so that you can get Voxcaster orders. The big thing is that, and then what you're going to do with the shotgun vets with the heavy flamer and the melters, you're going to stick them into their heavy flamer chimeras and charge them at the enemy. What you're probably going to want to do is that they're all carrying assault weapons. So you pop them out, you drive forward first turn, second turn, you pop them out the front, you move them forward, you have them shoot, then you have them charge. They're going to die. That just has to be a fact of life. But with all their shooting, with the shooting from the Chimera, since you don't get template weapons, you could also probably charge. You probably should charge the Chimera too, if you really want to. Might want to drop the heavy stubber if you did do that, because I do not believe it's an assault weapon. I will have to check. But if it is an assault weapon, you leave that on. You just want to charge everything you want. You're going to use your veterans. They're going to be suicide bombers, basically. But you want to take stuff out as quickly as possible. And that's the best way to do it. And then what you're going to have is you have your company commander, Buck Standard. He's going to be with a command squad that has plasma gun, Voxcaster, and las cannon team. You're going to want to keep them within 18 inches of the las cannon veterans, just to keep, so you can give them orders. Then you probably, I'd say that the best way to do this is in a battalion detachment. So you're going to want to have 3 groups of conscripts. I'd recommend just doing 3 groups of 20 conscripts. Or you could do infantry squads, but having 60 conscripts running down the field that works as a very good distraction to stop them from firing at your las cannon vets. You're also going to want a commissar to keep those conscripts in 9. I'd recommend giving him a power sword, just sort of as general commissar stuff. And then you're going to want some heavy support, because you're going to be doing more. Your conscripts are going to keep your veterans keep your enemy in place turn 2. Your conscripts keep them in place turn 3 and 4. Well, they stop them from getting too close to your line anyways. You're going to be using your las cannon veterans and your command squad with las cannons as to protect your lines too. Basilisks also do this job quite well. You could also use wyverns probably, but personally I feel that basilisks are better, just in case your enemy has a unit that they're keeping at the back, especially if you're facing Tau, for instance. It's good to have some range. I'd recommend 2 basilisks, just heavy bolter, earthshaker cannon. And then also, I have Knight Commander Paskin here with a battle cannon, a tank commander with a battle cannon, and a 3rd Neiman Russ Punisher. And basically the idea is Pask gives rerolling 1s to the tank commander gives rerolling 1s to the battle tank. If you have extra points, I would recommend making them all Punisher cannons, just for the fact that, besides maybe Pask, just for the fact that ballistic skill isn't that good on battle tanks now. But that's generally the idea. So far this has worked fairly well for me. The only thing it hasn't worked well against, it has a bit of difficulty with the Tau player who keeps all of his stuff at the back line without moving it. What you could do to fix that is instead do this in 3 Vanguard attachments. So you have your company commander, with 3 Lascannon Vets teams and their dedicated transports. Actually, no, 2 Lascannon teams and the command squad and their dedicated transports. Pask in whatever with 3 the veterans with the shotguns and the melter guns and the heavy flamer, and have them in their stuff, and then have another set of 3 of those with the normal tank commander, and rush them across the field like that. Not quite as good, since you're going to have trouble getting orders off to everyone. But you know, that's... I would say that the all-veteran army is a thing of the past. But veterans are still very important, and making a full list about veterans can be very powerful, and it's something a lot of people are overlooking. What you could especially do is take your conscripts and run them with forwards for the Emperor, and you have a pretty good chance of getting them to keep up with the Chimera, so you could even sort of do a mass assault, which it sort of depends, but might be a good idea to do. But anyways, this has been Allegedly Nerdy. This has been my opinion piece on veterans and chimeras in 8th edition for the Imperial Guard. If you have any thoughts on this topic, feel free to leave them in the comments. And I hope this has been useful for you guys. Thank you.